Hey everyone, and welcome to the American Stroke Association's first ever CycleNation live stream celebration. Today we're not only celebrating CycleNation, but we're also celebrating World Stroke Day. My name is Christy Gary, and I'll be with you for the next 30 minutes as your host. Coming to you from Chicago. Now I'm a broadcast journalist, a stroke survivor, and a proud volunteer of the American Stroke Association. Now, I expect many of you joining us today are active participants in CycleNation, but for those of you that are joining and new to CycleNation, let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a community of cyclists that get together to help fund life-saving stroke and heart research and promote brain and heart health through the American Heart Association and the Stroke Association. Now, this fall, since local events are not possible, participants in cities across the country are moving together as one CycleNation. And today we're going to celebrate our power to transform health in America and our volunteers who have come together as a relentless force to achieve our mission. Now, what's the goal? We want to raise $1 million to support stroke and heart disease research and education. That's right, $1 million. We also need all of you who are out there being active today to go log your miles on the CycleNation app, which I already did this morning. Now, I have a fantastic group of people here with me today that I know you're going to want to meet. But before I introduce you to them, let me ask you one thing. Can you please hit the share button and start a watch party so that you can share this stream with your friends and family right now? Alrighty, well, let's jump in. And I can tell you from personal experience that strokes do not discriminate. I had one at the age of 31 years old, and I can tell you they can happen to anyone at any age, and that 1 in 4 people worldwide will have one in their lifetime. Now, here in a minute, we'll have Olympian Michael Johnson and actor Timothy Omundson joining us to kick off our conversation today. We wanted to highlight an amazing story from another stroke survivor. Her story and many more like hers are the reason we support this mission today and why we all have worked so hard to raise money for stroke and heart disease. Here, let's take.
In June of 2011, I suffered my first stroke. I was 18 years old. I was about ready to deliver my son. I remember laying under the bright light and trying to move my head back and forth and not being able to get a word out. And my third stroke was about a year ago now, in October of 2017. I was running on a treadmill at the gym, as I've really adapted to a fit lifestyle since the second stroke. I remember my heart started to race and I had shortness of breath, and I thought, oh shoot, here we go again. I knew exactly what was going on. My son was in bed at home with my boyfriend, and I didn't want to call and wake everyone up, so I drove myself there with my left foot. And that was really a huge breaking point for me, because we'd gone 6 years without any inkling of why this was reoccurring in somebody so young with seemingly perfect health. Patent foramen ovale. So it is a hole between the atriums of my heart. And it did leave just enough room for clots to get through and cause stroke. And at this rate now, it makes a lot of sense how the heat and exercise and stress on my heart during childbirth would have initiated that. This can happen to anybody, any age, any time, and the more you know and the more you share, the more likely we are to connect and find a better way to treat stroke.
Wow, Nina, what an incredible story. All right, well, let me introduce you to our first guest. Joining us today is Dr. Mitchell Elkins, and he's the president of the American Heart Association. Dr. Elkins is he's only the second stroke neurologist to hold this prestigious role. Dr. Elkins, thank you for joining us today, and I know you have a special message you want to share with us right now.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Yes, I do. On behalf of the American Heart Association and the American Stroke Association, thank you, Kristen, for serving as our host. And thanks to our special guests, Michael Johnson and Timothy Omundson, and to all of our amazing CycleNation participants for coming together on the World Stroke Day to help us beat stroke. You know, stroke is the #2 killer worldwide and a leading cause of disability, but we are on a mission to reduce its toll. By getting active, whether through cycling, walking, running, or however you choose to move, and by raising funds through CycleNation, you're helping us end the cycle of stroke and heart disease. By the way, Kristen, what is that medal you're wearing around your neck?
Oh, this little thing? It's a great question, Dr. Elkin. This medal is actually something any CycleNation participant can achieve and receive. Anyone who raises $100 or more will receive our One CycleNation finisher medal. And for those of you that are also top rider, there's also a top rider medal for our superstars who raise more than $1,000 or more. So for all of our participants out there, if you haven't already raised $100, or maybe you're so close to reaching that top rider goal to 1,000, just make a little note to yourself to post to your social media and send reminders to those of you who've asked right after the show to continue to donate. And speaking of goals, let's talk about our fundraising progress. As of right now, CycleNation has crushed the $1 million fundraising goal. Easy peasy. Dr. Elkin, can you believe we already reached $1 million?
I can believe it. I totally can believe it because we have such an amazing group of volunteers out there. And I don't think we should stop there, though, you know. So I have a challenge to all of CycleNation. We are just about $300,000 away from hitting $2 million. Can you imagine if we hit $2 million, twice our goal?
Yes.
If you haven't already, maybe you can afford to make a personal donation, or you could set up a Facebook fundraiser to get in some last-minute donations. There's so many easy ways to get just a little bit more before the end of today, and a little bit can add up to a lot. If you're just joining us for the show today, but not part of CycleNation, we've also set up a special page for Michael and Tim, who you'll meet shortly, where donations can be made. And our social team will drop that link in the comments right now. So all you have to do is click over and donate. Or if you're joining us from Facebook, you should see a donate button right below your video. So click on that and it'll let you make a one-time donation right now. So people are counting on us like never before, and we are asking for your support. Through your impact, we can continue to fund cardiovascular research, support frontline healthcare workers, and help those in our communities who are disproportionately impacted by coronavirus, heart disease, and stroke. Together, we'll drive change, and we will be relentless.
All right, guys, so you heard it here first. A new challenge. Let's see if we can get $2 million challenged by our AHA president himself. And if I know anything about stroke survivors, is that we're always up for a challenge. So on that note, I want to take a little moment to give a special shout out to our top 10 cities participating in One CycleNation. Let's take a look at our leaderboard. Now, as you can see, Denver is crushing it, so hats off to Denver. But I see some really close competitions after that. Looks like some of these cities have a chance to move on up into the top 5. So let's keep pushing these donations through the end of the day. Rounding out our top 5 events are Cincinnati, Northwest Arkansas, and South Florida. New York City, Buffalo, and Cleveland all have raised more than $100,000 each and are neck and neck getting into the top 5. So let's keep pushing, everyone. We want to thank all of these cities, and of course, with a little bit of friendly competition, Chicago, let's keep going. We are so thankful for everyone to helping raise money regardless of the amount. Every dollar raised counts. Now, we are so honored and excited to be joined today by 2 great friends of the American Stroke Association, both stroke survivors. Timothy Omundson is an actor best known for his roles on Supernatural, Spike, Gallivant, and my favorite, This Is Us, where his character Gregory is also a stroke survivor. Tim had a major stroke in April of 2017. We also have Olympian Michael Johnson. Michael is a track and field legend, having earned 4 Olympic gold medals. He was once known as the fastest man in the world, but in August 2018, a stroke slowed him down. Tim and Michael, welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So excited you guys are here. Now, you both have some incredible stories. So will each of you briefly tell us a little bit about what happened the day of your stroke?
Michael, after you.
Go for it, Tim. All right, I'll go. It was 2 years ago, August of 2018. I was actually just finishing a training session, just working out in my home gym. And after I finished the training session, it just finished, and it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. Wasn't pushing myself really hard, just sort of normal training session. And after I finished, I noticed that as I was sort of catching my breath, that I turned around to walk back into the gym. I'd walked outside just for a second. My wife was out in the front to talk, playing with our dog, and as I turned around to walk back into the gym, I stumbled. And as I tried to catch myself, I found that I wasn't able to actually catch myself with my left foot. I wasn't able to coordinate my left foot so that I could regain my balance really well. And as I tried to walk and I was trying to regain my balance, I was really having trouble with my left foot and my left leg. So I sort of hobbled over to the weight bench and sat down. And as I was trying to, regain some coordination and figure out what was happening, it was just a really strange sensation. And I know my body really well, and it just didn't feel right. And then I noticed right after that I was having trouble with my left arm. As I moved it, it seemed to sort of move involuntarily, and my fingers were tingling a little bit, not much, but just a little bit. And so my wife passed by, and I called her in, and I started explaining what I was experiencing. And so, after about 20 minutes of just sort of, thinking through it, trying to figure out what was going on, it wasn't getting any better, but wasn't getting any worse. I wasn't experiencing any real discomfort or any pain, but I wasn't able to coordinate my legs. After that, we just decided after a while, let's just go to the emergency room and to see what's going on. And even at that point, I would have never guessed that I had a stroke. Got to the hospital and after undergoing some tests, found that I had actually suffered a stroke deep in the right side of my brain. And by an hour after that, I was no longer able to walk. I had lost most of the feeling in my left hand and fingers, could not actually move my fingers. And my left leg just was not operating at all. I wasn't able to actually coordinate it, stand or walk at all. And that was 2 years ago. And fortunately, I was able to get into some training and physical therapy and rehab and regain all of my previous functionality. So I was very fortunate in that sense.
That's incredible. Tim, can you tell us a little about the day you had your stroke?
Yeah, so similarly to Michael's, I initially lost use of one of my limbs. I was actually standing in an airport bathroom. I was trying to screw a cap on a bottle with my left hand. Noticed that my left hand, I couldn't do that. I couldn't make my hand do that. And suddenly my left hand just cramped up. And by the time it took me to go, oh, that's weird, my left leg collapsed underneath me and I fell on the ground. Some people helped me up and I went to take a step and immediately fell again. So I was my left side just stopped working. But it really happened. And I just want to say, prior to, I was only 47 years old. I was in the best shape of my life. Worked out every day. In fact, about a week prior, what had happened is I had a dissection of the right side of my carotid artery, from my right carotid artery, which we think is due to a really strenuous workout. I was lifting weights really hard, trying to get ready for rolling. And just something happened and tore that artery, which eventually led to a clot in my brain.
Yeah.
Started pretty massive ischemic stroke on the right hemisphere of my brain.
Thank you both for sharing with us. Now, Dr. Elkin, many people think stroke is a condition that only hits the elderly, but the three of us are evidence that that's not the case. How common are strokes in younger adults or even children?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question, Kristen. So there are about 800,000 strokes a year in the United States. And although most do occur in older people, about 10% occur in people under the age of 50. So there's, if I do the math right now, there's about 80,000 strokes in people up through their 40s in the US each year. And even children can get strokes. And unfortunately, and you're all examples of this, strokes in younger people are actually increasingly common. In the last few years, we've seen increasing numbers. They can, again, happen to children as well. Now, why this is happening is not entirely clear. We think some of it may be due to people leading a sedentary lifestyle, getting less exercise, eating poorly, obesity, diabetes, things like that. Certainly high blood pressure. But it can happen to anybody. It can happen to perfectly healthy people because of dissections like Tim was just describing, or the hole in the heart that you described. That can happen to anybody. It has nothing to do with your underlying health, really.
Well, since strokes can happen at any age, it's important that everyone know the symptoms. Can you tell us a little bit about what the stroke warning signs are?
Sure. So the main stroke warning signs, as I hope people can see right now, we like to use the FAST acronym. So if you see the face is drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, then it's time to call 911. Easy way to remember the major symptoms of a stroke. Just remember FAST.
Perfect. So let's take a look at this video.
In June of
Hello from Cleveland, Ohio. My name is Paul Wellner, Vice Chairman at Deloitte in a 2020 CycleNation chair here in Cleveland. Our Cleveland CycleNation team was able to triple our impact and raise over $100,000 with 1 week to go in our campaign during a pandemic. This shows the heart and commitment of Northeast Ohioans to rally around the health of our community. Cleveland rocks.
Hi, I'm Jessica coming to you from Forest Park in St. Louis. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone who's joined us for CycleNation STL this year.
Hi everyone, I'm Ben Miller with Kaiser Permanente, and I'm proud to have served as the Denver CycleNation Chair this year. I want to thank and congratulate Denver CycleNation participants for going above and beyond to support the mission of AHA. I am so proud to be a part of this community. Go get them.
Hi, I'm Tim Steigerwald, President and CEO of Messer Construction, and I'm proud to chair CycleNation 2020 here in Cincinnati, Ohio. This year, each of our sponsors has agreed to host a ride at their place of business. That's a great way for us to keep everybody engaged and active during the pandemic, and of course to raise funds for the American Heart Association. At each of our rides, we take along our fast sign to educate all of our riders about the signs and symptoms of stroke. I'm looking forward to hearing the great results we've seen here in Cincinnati and the results from across the country at One CycleNation later today. Thank you all very much.
So the stroke community really isn't one that anyone wants to be a part of, but those videos show you that our community is so strong and amazing. I'm so proud to be here. So Michael and Tim, you were both very physically fit prior to your stroke. You continue to be active now. So how has physical activity played a role in your recoveries?
Tim.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I mean, it's been all my recovery. I was left in a wheelchair for quite a while. And it's from I wasn't even able to stand up out of my wheelchair. But slowly through intense physical therapy, I've been able to regain my ability to walk. And now I actually went from various types of canes, and now I can walk. In fact, in my physical therapy clinic a few weeks ago, I was able to walk half an hour without my cane.
That's awesome. That's incredible. It's a big deal.
And so now every day I hit my treadmill and just try and keep hitting my getting my time faster and my distance longer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my max right now is 1.69 miles. So I'm trying to break that barrier.
That's awesome.
But it was baby steps to get them. It starts with a tenth of a mile, then half a mile, and 3/4 of a mile, and on and on.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my work's cut out for me. Michael, sir?
Well, I mean, obviously, I've always been in good shape, and fitness has always been a major part of my life. And it was when I was an athlete, of course, and it was prior to my stroke. I was actually, as I said, doing a training session when I had the stroke. And but I think that one of the key things for me has been having the mindset of an athlete and understanding that those sort of micro improvements every day and how to push through the pain and how to overcome those setbacks and get yourself motivated every day. All of those things that I learned as an athlete certainly were critical to my recovery when I was recovering and trying to get back to walking again and getting back to having the same sort of mobility that I had before. And I credit really the fact that I was in really good shape when I had the stroke to my ability to recover and to recover fully and so quickly, relatively quickly anyway. So, that has been something, fitness has always been key to my livelihood. And I think that, now that's no different. Some people will say, well, you were doing all of that working out, you were in such great shape and it didn't prevent you from having a stroke. But I see it differently. I think that, the type of shape that I was in and having dedicated myself to fitness, and a level of fitness that was pretty high, was what helped me to actually make the recovery and survive the stroke. So it's very important to me. And so every day, at least 40 minutes of training, physical training, cardio workouts, and weightlifting, and it helps me to relax as well.
I feel the same way. I was in the best shape of my life before I had my stroke. I mean, I wasn't an Olympic athlete, but I was going to spin class every morning. And I think that also really helped me recover as well. Now, Dr. Elkin, Michael, Tim, and myself, it's somewhat unusual in that we were all three in really great shape, and neither of us had any known risk factors prior to having our stroke. So I also don't know what caused my stroke, but I mentioned earlier, as many as 80% of first strokes are preventable. Can you share what the Heart Association and the Stroke Association recommend that people should do to prevent a stroke, or at least delay one as long as possible?
Sure. So the most important risk factor for stroke is high blood pressure. About 50% of strokes are due to high blood pressure. So people should know their numbers. Get your blood pressure checked. You can do that with your primary doctor or to pharmacy or to health screening, sometimes in the community. Really important to get your blood pressure checked. And if there's an issue, get it under control. See a doctor about it. But there's some other things people should do. At the Heart Association, we have a simple way to remember the risk factors for cardiovascular disease in general. It's called Life's Simple 7. So you want to know your numbers. One is blood pressure. We talked about that. Also know your blood sugar. Blood sugar can lead to vascular problems. You want to know your cholesterol, also important. And then there's several behaviors that people should do. So eat healthy foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, poultry, fish, not too much red meat. Avoid a lot of salt and sugar-sweetened beverages. Stay away from those as well. Get plenty of exercise, and I think the people who are participating tonight are probably a perfect example of that. Maintain a healthy weight or body mass index, ideally less than 25, which is normal. And then the last thing, of course, is not to smoke, right? So those 7 simple things can go a long way towards preventing strokes in most people.
We can do that. Thank you, Dr. Elkin. Now, Tim and Michael, your relentless pursuit of recovery is an inspiration to stroke survivors and even non-stroke survivors alike. What have you learned after having a stroke, and what words of advice do you have for our audience today? Or you guys have a hard time doing this. Tim, why don't you go first?
I think the biggest thing I learned is, and it sounds a little silly maybe, but I learned how much I was loved and who my friends really were.
Ooh, yeah.
You go through like a life-altering experience like that. It was just incredible, the outpouring of love and support that my family and I received.
Yes.
And as far as advice, I think Michael really hit it on that. Sorry if I'm going to steal that story again, Michael. The micro improvements. Where recovery from a stroke, let alone anything, is it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So yes. I keep trying to remember to really honor those milestones as I hit them. And like personally, I have an album of photos on my phone that check like videos of me as I've learned how to walk again, so I can go, oh, if I'm feeling like I'm not making quite the progress I want to, I'll go back and look at a video of when I first started to walk again.
Yes, I always like to remember where I started the morning after my stroke.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that with my kids and my wife a lot. We'll sort of look at videos and go, oh, look, we are improving, or I am improving.
Right, that's awesome.
What
advice would you give our audience?
Just really to just live. I mean, it sounds trite, but you really do have to live every moment as much as you can.
I love that. Yeah.
I think back to all the things that I miss doing and the things that I don't regret that I did. Mm-hmm. Like the hikes I don't regret that I took, or the days fishing that I don't regret. Mm-hmm. Just think all the adventures I went on.
Yeah. Mike, what about you?
Yeah, I think, just like Tim, I had a lot of support from family, all of my employees, and certainly fans. There was a tremendous amount of support, and I learned, to actually lean on that support and embrace that support, and instead of always having, I think prior to my stroke, I always felt like I had to be the one person that everyone could depend on. I didn't need to depend on anyone else for support, but everyone could depend on me. And that was something that I wore proudly. And I think, going through this, I was able to allow myself to depend on other people and be vulnerable. And it was a real lesson for me. I think my advice to people would be, like Tim said, you have to be patient and find what motivates you as well. I think that certainly, is critical to anyone who's recovering from a stroke. But I think that just for anyone, whether you're on a journey of fitness or trying to get healthy, on a journey of wellness, and some of the things that Dr. Elkin suggested to minimize a stroke, if you're trying to get there, like stopping smoking or losing weight and getting yourself fit, getting into a fitness routine or changing your diet, take one step at a time, like Timothy said, and sort of, journal that, and chronicle that, and look back and take one step at a time. And as Tim said, this whole thing isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, or a series of sprints, as I like to say.
Yeah. Do you guys find yourself maybe getting more fit post-stroke than before? Because there are mornings where I do not want to work out, and then I'm like going through my phone in my head. I have like you do, Tim, where I'm in my wheelchair. And I'm like, remember when you were dying to run? Like, come on, get up, go run. And before my stroke, I'd sleep in, I'd miss a workout, no big deal. Now I'm like, we cannot miss a workout. What if you go into a wheelchair again tomorrow? You're going to miss this. So I find myself really pushing myself more. Like, this Kristen is more dedicated to working out than pre-stroke Kristen. Do you guys have any habits like that maybe you're more hard on yourself now?
For me, it's actually quite unique, I guess, and kind of quite the opposite, because I don't think I knew how to relax before. I certainly, enjoyed life and traveling and vacationing and holidaying with my wife and my family and that sort of thing, and hanging out with friends. But just taking time to just sit down and do nothing, during the week. And, I love my work. I'm always that person that, if my executive team, we're sitting around the table and there's something that needs to be done, I'm the first one to raise my hand and say, I'll take that. So I learned that just actually, when that sort of thing comes up, to actually just sit on my hands and make sure that I'm not the one raising my hand and let somebody else take that. So, that's been the lesson for me, and a major difference in me post-stroke than I was prior to my stroke.
Anyone that love napping? I live for naps post-stroke. I loved napping before, but now I schedule it into my day. I'm like, can't do it 1 to 1:30 is nap time. I'm just so dedicated to that nap. No one can take it away from me. It's been so inspiring to talk to both of you and hear your stories. I love connecting to other stroke survivors. We just have a bond that, you don't really have with other people. So we're nearing the end of our time together, but of course we saved something fun for the end, a CycleNation trivia segment. We're calling it Name That Guest, in which I have some really fun facts about the three of our guests. But before we head into that game, let's highlight just more of our top market videos.
My name is Jose Romano, Board Chair of the American Heart Association and Assistant Vice President at Baptist Health, South Florida, proud sponsor of One CycleNation. As you know, we do things a little bit differently here in Miami. I've been logging my miles off-road and on trails, but you're free to do it on your stationary bike wherever you'd like. I'm proud to say that South Florida is number 3 in the nation with 7,500 miles logged and over $143,000 raised. Dale, South Florida.
I'm Kate, and we're coming to you from Albany, New York, and I'm one of the proud co-chairs of CycleNation.
I'm Alan Boulos, also co-chair for One CycleNation 2020. Proud to be a part of the organization. Continue to fight stroke and save lives.
From Albany, New York, go CycleNation!
Hi, I'm Blakely Steinbaugh, the chair of CycleNation New York City, the greatest city in the world. And I wanted to show you this is the area that inspires me to get moving. It's a pedestrian path and a cycling path that spans over 12 miles, starting at the bottom of Manhattan and passing the George W. Bridge at the northwestern tip. I want to say congratulations to our team. We've raised over $100,000 so far, to stop the cycle of stroke and heart disease.
Hello everyone, I'm Mike Utz, the captain for Team Healthy Link in Buffalo, New York. I'm so proud to be part of CycleNation because events like this raise funds and awareness to improve the lives of those affected by heart disease and strokes. I know firsthand, I had quintuple bypass surgery in 2007, and if it wasn't for the great care by the cardiac team at Kaleida Health, I might not be here today riding in this event. So join me in supporting the American Heart Association. It is a cause that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm certainly excited to join the rest of the country in One CycleNation.
Hi, this is Brian McNeil. I'm a cardiac arrest, heart attack, and stroke survivor from Colorado. I'd just like to say congratulations to all the Colorado CycleNation participants for going the distance, and thank you for coming together to support survivors like me.
That was awesome. All right, are you guys ready to have a little bit of fun? Here in a minute, we're going to put a question right on the screen, and our viewers can respond by using our easy-to-use text and answer feature. All you have to do is text AHA live to 22333 right now. If you don't want to text in, you can also participate by simply dropping your answer in the comment section. This is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited to get you guys all involved. So let's try it out with our very first question. Here's the game. Name that guest. So he's played harmonica with various bands all across the world, including members of the Dave Matthews Band. Can you guess which guest that is? Go ahead and type your answer into the comments or text it in right now. What's it going? I'm so excited. I know these answers. Oh, everyone thinks it's Michael. Oh, and a little bit of Tim. Dr. Elkin. Oh, there you go. Some people do think it's you. Just took a little bit. Okay, well, the correct answer is Tim. That's awesome. How did you start playing the harmonica?
I was always a musician growing up. I played upright bass as a kid in high school. And when I moved to California to go to college, I realized they were really way too big to carry around. So I just started taking up harmonica instead. All my friends in college played guitar, and I couldn't play guitar, so harmonic was the easy thing to slide into. Then eventually I just kept playing as much as I could. And
do you still play a little now? At all?
I'm now trying, because I don't have my left hand to use it. I just got a neck rack, so I'm trying to learn how to play again with a neck rack in one hand.
Oh, cool. That's amazing.
Because I've got friends in bands who are waiting for me to come back and get back up to speed to get on stage with them.
That's awesome. All right, let's move on to another one. The next question is, he and his family have a tortoise named Lightning. Oh my God, I love these questions. Uh-oh. Tim, you're the favorite here.
I was going to go with Michael.
Not anymore.
Let's see. Uh-oh. Here we go. Okay, the answer here is Dr. Elkin. How did you get a tortoise? I want to hear the story, please.
They're great pets. They're really easy. You know, she's
really?
about the size of a giant hamburger, and you'd be surprised how quickly she moves. Actually, she can run across the kitchen to get to her salad dinner, and I think one day she's going to give Michael a run.
Uh-oh. All right. How did you come up with her name?
What else are you going to name a tortoise but Lightning? You know, she's so quick.
That's awesome. All right. Well, this one might be too easy, but it's our final question. This mystery panelist had never run more than 1 mile at a time prior to 2001. All right, everyone got it. Right? It's Michael. Michael, how did you get into running then after 2001?
Yeah, I retired from my career in 2001, and after that, I actually started, being able to do the casual jog and just go out for a jog and run some miles, which prior to retirement from my sprint career, contrary to what most people believe, all running isn't the same. As a sprinter, it's quick, fast, 200-meter repeat sprints, 400-meter repeat sprints. But, you know, going out for 3 or 4 miles is just not something that you do. So people are often surprised to know that prior to, you know, when I was in my athletic career, people think, oh, you were a runner, a world record runner. Surely you go out and run lots of mileage. But no, I had never done that. In fact, when I was during my career as a sprinter and winning medals and things, and I'd be, you know, driving around and I'd see people out just kind of jogging, I would think, you know, why would anybody ever want to do that? That looks like the most ridiculous thing ever. Boring as I don't know what. And I will never do that. But actually now I go out, you know, I love hiking, I run, and, you know,
So
it relaxes me and I enjoy it.
Thank you guys so much. I think that's all the time that we have, but I've loved hearing all of these things that we may not have known about each of you. Thank you guys so much for being good sports and participating today. It was so much fun. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining, everybody.